On live TV, the unthinkable just happened. A shocking comment was made, one so bold it left everyone in the room stunned. But what came next was even more unexpected. In an instant, the situation erupted into a heated exchange, leaving the audience gasping. Tensions were high, the stakes were higher, and nothing was off limits. What happened in those next few moments completely shifted the power dynamic. Stay tuned to find out how one moment on live TV turned into an unforgettable clash. You won't believe how it all unfolded. A public figure strongly responded to a shocking comment made by another well-known individual during a live television event. This kind of moment does not happen every day, but when it does, it teaches us a lot about communication, reaction, and the power of words. The situation started with a comment that was unexpected and highly surprising to many people watching the program. The statement was bold, and for some viewers, it was even uncomfortable to hear. When a public figure says something that shocks people, it can create tension, especially in a live setting where there is no chance to take it back or rephrase it. In this case, the shocking comment did just that. It caught everyone off guard. It wasn't just about what was said, but how it was said, and when. On live television, timing matters. Every word carries weight because it's being heard by thousands or even millions at once. The person who made the original comment may have thought they were being clever or making a point, but the result was something else entirely. It set the stage for a powerful response. The individual who answered back did not hold back. Instead of staying silent or changing the subject, they responded with sharp, clear, and confident words. This wasn't just a casual reply. It was a strong response that showed the speaker was not only paying attention, but also ready to stand up for what they believed in. They used the moment to speak out against what was said, turning a shocking comment into an opportunity for truth, clarity, and correction. What makes this kind of reaction so important is the way it was done. The speaker stayed calm. They didn't yell or lose control. Instead, they stayed focused and thoughtful. This made their words more powerful. It's one thing to shout back when someone says something outrageous. It's another thing to stay composed and use facts, logic, and a steady tone to make your point. That's what happened here. The response was not just emotional, it was smart. The speaker took time to carefully explain why the original comment was wrong or harmful. They didn't just say, "I don't agree." They broke it down. They offered examples. They connected the comment to bigger issues that affect many people. In doing so, they turned the conversation into something educational, helping viewers understand why the original words mattered and why they needed to be challenged. This approach can be very effective, especially on live TV. When viewers are watching, they are not only seeing two people talk, they are learning from how each person speaks, reacts, and presents their ideas. The person who made the shocking comment may have thought they were going to win the moment with boldness or surprise, but instead, they were met with someone who used wisdom and courage to respond. That's what made the reaction so powerful. Many people watching probably felt the same surprise or discomfort from the original comment. So when the speaker responded the way they did, it spoke for others too. It's a rare and valuable thing when someone in the spotlight uses their voice not just for themselves, but for everyone who may feel affected. That's why this kind of response matters so much. It's not about personal drama. It's about standing up in the right way, at the right time, with the right words. Also, the public nature of the event made it even more meaningful. This was not a private argument or a quiet disagreement. It was out in the open, for all to see. That meant the speaker had to be extra careful and thoughtful in how they spoke. And yet, they managed to turn a difficult situation into a teachable moment. Viewers were not just entertained, they were educated. They saw how to respond to something shocking without being disrespectful. They saw how to handle pressure without losing focus. The moment also showed the importance of being prepared. When you are on live television, you never know what someone might say. You can't predict everything, but you can be ready to stay true to your values, to speak clearly, and to stand your ground. That's exactly what happened here. One person made a shocking comment. Another responded with strength, clarity, and purpose. And in doing so, they reminded everyone watching that words have power, but so does the way we answer them. The confrontation happened live on TV, which made the entire situation even more intense and unforgettable. When something takes place during a live broadcast, there is no chance to edit it, delete it, or take it back. Every word, every facial expression, every reaction is seen exactly as it happens. That's what makes live television such a powerful and risky space. Anything that happens is instantly part of the public eye, and people watching at home experience it in real time. In this particular case, the moment became unforgettable because both the shocking comment and the response occurred right in front of a live audience, both in the studio and at home. During live TV, speakers often feel pressure. There are cameras, lights, and a countdown that tells you when you're on air. Even experienced individuals can sometimes say things that are surprising or controversial. The original statement made in this case had that effect. It was unexpected and caused a stir the moment it was said. People watching live may have paused, looked around, or even gasped. When something unexpected happens live, people don't just hear it, they feel it. The energy shifts instantly, and that's exactly what happened here. As soon as the comment was made, the reaction was immediate. There was no waiting for a commercial break, no backstage talk, no second take. The person who heard the comment responded without delay, using the same live platform to speak their truth. What made this response even more powerful was the fact that it came without preparation for that specific moment. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't planned, it was raw, honest, and thoughtful, all while the cameras were rolling and the viewers were watching. Live TV doesn't give people time to process slowly. Everything moves fast and there's no safety net. That makes any strong response even more impressive. The person who replied had to listen, think, and speak all at once, with clarity and purpose. That takes a high level of focus, especially when the situation is emotionally charged or filled with tension. Still, the response came across not as rushed or defensive, but as calm, sharp, and deeply meaningful. One reason why this moment stood out so much is because viewers felt like they were part of something real. In today's world, many people are used to edited videos, rehearsed speeches, and filtered images. But live television is different. It's one of the few places where people can still see things unfold naturally without changes. That adds a layer of truth to the situation. The viewers knew what they were seeing was not a show. It was a real exchange between two public figures, broadcast live for everyone to see. The setting also played a big role. The environment of a live TV studio is carefully controlled usually, but when a moment like this breaks through the usual format, it creates waves. The cameras catch every reaction, every word, and every movement. The audience, both in the studio and at home, becomes part of the moment. They are not just watching something happen, they are witnessing a public response to a very bold and unexpected statement. The platform matters too. When something happens live, news outlets often replay the clip, social media picks it up, and conversations begin instantly. This moment was no different. As soon as it aired, people started discussing what had been said and how the response was handled. Because it was live, it couldn't be denied or twisted. The footage was clear and the words were already out in the world. The timing of the response was also key. It came at the right moment, immediately after the shocking comment, so that it addressed the situation directly and didn't let it pass without comment. In a live setting, silence can be taken as agreement. That's why speaking up matters even more. The response didn't leave room for confusion. It challenged the original words in real time, in front of everyone, making it clear that the speaker would not let such a comment go unchallenged. People watching live got to see how someone can stand up for themselves and others with poise and purpose. They saw how to handle pressure with grace, and they learned that live television, while unpredictable, can also be a place where truth is spoken clearly and courageously. The live nature of the confrontation didn't just add drama, it added authenticity. That's why the moment stuck with so many people. It wasn't just what was said, but when and how it was said, live, real, and right on time. The response was extremely powerful, to the point that it was described as destroying the other person, likely meaning it was a sharp, clever, or intense rebuttal. This term, destroying, is often used in media to highlight the impact of one person's response over another's statement. It doesn't necessarily mean physical harm, but refers to how effectively the response hit back against the original comment. In this case, it wasn't just an ordinary disagreement or a brief exchange of words. It was a well-thought-out and impactful reply that made the initial statement look weak or poorly made. The response wasn't just about winning the argument in a loud or forceful way. It was about dismantling the original point and showing the flaws in it. This kind of sharp, effective rebuttal has a deep effect, especially when it happens in a public setting like live television, where every word carries significant weight. What made the response so powerful was the way it was delivered. Often, when two people engage in a disagreement, the person who responds with strength does not need to shout or be rude. In fact, the more controlled and measured the response, the more force it carries. A person who can stay calm and deliver a well-structured reply is often seen as having the upper hand. They show not only their knowledge of the subject but also their ability to manage emotions and pressure. This was not a typical back-and-forth argument. It was a response that required both confidence and intellect. The words chosen were precise and direct, cutting through the original statement's weaknesses and calling attention to its flaws. This powerful response did more than just defend the speaker's own views. It exposed the problems with the original comment in a way that could not be ignored. By focusing on the weaknesses in the other person's statement, the response highlighted the gaps in logic or fairness that the original comment may have overlooked. This is one of the reasons why the response had such an effect. When someone responds with facts and clear reasoning, they don't just argue for their side. They also make the other side appear less thoughtful or even wrong. This often leaves little room for the original speaker to recover, as the power of the response can be so overwhelming that it leaves them with no strong points to counter. What made this exchange particularly effective was the fact that it was all done in real time, during a live broadcast. Live TV does not offer the opportunity to rethink or reconsider an answer. Everything happens in the moment, and once something is said, it cannot be taken back. The person delivering the powerful response had to make sure their words were spot on. They couldn't afford to stumble or second-guess themselves. This pressure only made their response more impressive, as it showed not only their ability to think quickly, but also their capacity to remain calm and assertive under pressure. The power of the response also came from the way it resonated with the audience. People watching weren't just passive observers. They were deeply engaged. They could feel the intensity of the exchange and quickly understood who was in control of the conversation. The speaker's words were crafted in such a way that they not only silenced any doubts about their own position, but also made the original comment appear less credible. When someone is able to respond with such clarity and authority, it leaves a lasting impression on both the viewers and those involved in the exchange. It's no longer just an argument. It becomes a moment where one voice stands tall and firm, while the other falters. Moreover, the intensity of the response was amplified by the fact that it was unexpected. Often, a shocking or bold comment is followed by an equally bold or emotional reaction. However, in this case, the response was not over the top or filled with rage. It was composed and thoughtful, which made it even more effective. In a world where heated arguments often take center stage, a calm but firm reply stands out. It shows the power of restraint and discipline in communication. The intensity of the response, therefore, wasn't in the loudness or harshness of the words. It was in how the reply challenged the original statement so effectively, making it seem flawed or unworthy of attention. This kind of response often has the effect of shifting the power dynamic. It takes a situation where one person might have felt dominant because of their original comment and turns it around. The person who responded is no longer in a position of defense. Instead, they are on offense, taking control of the situation with their thoughtful reply. This shift in power is what makes a response like this so impactful. It not only challenges the other person's words, but also shifts the perspective of everyone watching. Viewers are no longer just hearing one side. They are now seeing the full picture, with a clear distinction between a thoughtless comment and a well-reasoned response. The cause of the clash was a surprising or offensive statement, referred to as a shocking comment, which triggered the response. In many situations, comments made in public settings can be controversial, especially when they touch on sensitive topics or are framed in a way that challenges social norms. When someone makes a statement that others find offensive or surprising, it doesn't just affect the person receiving it, but also the broader audience. This is particularly true in public spaces like live television, where emotions can run high and viewers are not just passive observers, but often feel personally involved in what they're watching. A statement that shocks or offends can have a ripple effect, making the conversation more heated and drawing more attention than it might have otherwise received. The moment the comment was made, it likely caused confusion, discomfort, or even anger for those who were listening. For some, the surprise might have been about the tone or the subject matter. For others, it could have been the way the comment challenged their views or beliefs. The shock doesn't always come from the content itself, but from the unexpected nature of the delivery or the implications behind the words. In these situations, people may immediately recognize that something important is being said, or in this case, something that should be questioned. When a person makes a statement that steps over a line of social expectations or goes against a widely held belief, it often forces the listeners to reconsider their own thoughts and how they feel about the issue being discussed. Such a comment, especially one made in a live setting, has the potential to spark more than just a simple disagreement. It can bring out deep emotions in others, leading to strong responses. In a public setting like a TV show, viewers might immediately pick up on the tension in the room, sensing that something controversial has been said. These moments can create an atmosphere of uncertainty, as everyone involved knows that the conversation has taken a sudden turn. This shift often forces others to react quickly, sometimes with little time to carefully think through their response. In this case, the comment had such an impact that it didn't just go unnoticed, it triggered a reaction that was so powerful. It completely shifted the course of the conversation. The offensive or surprising nature of the comment also meant that it wasn't just a casual remark. It wasn't something said offhandedly or by accident. The words were intentional, and the purpose behind them was clear, to make a point or perhaps to provoke a reaction. When someone deliberately makes a comment with the intent to shock or offend, it's often a strategic move designed to draw attention to an issue or spark controversy. However, the person making the comment may not always consider the full consequences of their words, especially in a live setting where reactions can't be controlled. When this happens, the response becomes even more important. The person who feels offended or hurt by the comment is faced with a decision: stay silent, let it slide, or respond. A silent response may be interpreted as agreement, while ignoring the comment could allow the original statement to stand unchallenged. This is why responses to shocking or offensive comments are so crucial. They allow the person who disagrees or feels wrong to bring attention to the issue and challenge the statement directly. In this case, the person's response was not only a way of defending themselves or others, but also a means of correcting the public narrative that had been started by the shocking comment. The key to handling such moments lies in how one chooses to respond. A calm, thoughtful reply can often be more powerful than a loud or emotional outburst. In these situations, taking the time to fully understand the original statement and then carefully crafting a response can not only put the original speaker in a difficult position, but also inform the audience about why the comment was problematic. The response, therefore, is not just about defending one's own position. It's about offering a counter-narrative that educates others on why the original comment may have been harmful or misguided. By doing so, the conversation can shift from a personal clash into a broader discussion about the values or ideas behind the statement. The comment that sparked this exchange was likely one that carried heavy implications for those listening. It wasn't just a matter of a simple misunderstanding. It touched on something more meaningful, potentially exposing divisions in how people view important issues. When people are shocked or offended by a statement, it often means that the issue at hand is something deeply tied to their beliefs, experiences, or sense of justice. The moment a person speaks up in response, They are not just defending themselves, but also challenging the broader assumptions that may have been presented in the original statement. A comment that shocks or offends can also serve to highlight the difference in perspectives between the speaker and the audience. When a person hears something they find surprising or upsetting, it often leads them to reassess their own position and values. This dynamic is a key part of why these moments on live television become so memorable. Not only do they allow for a public exchange of ideas, but they also encourage viewers to reflect on their own beliefs. The reaction to the original statement can lead to a larger conversation about why certain ideas are seen as offensive or controversial in the first place. Ultimately, the shocking comment sets the stage for a larger conversation. It forces everyone involved to think critically about the words being said, why they matter, and what they reveal about the individuals or groups making them. It is through this process of questioning and responding that people can better understand the impact of their words and the ways in which ideas can shape public discourse. In a way, the comment acts as a catalyst for learning, growth, and change, even if the process is uncomfortable or difficult. The event involved well-known personalities, making the moment highly talked about and possibly viral on social media. In the world of television, especially when it comes to live broadcasts, the people involved in the conversation are often key to how much attention it receives. Public figures are constantly under the microscope, and their actions, words, and interactions are scrutinized by audiences all over the world. When something unexpected or controversial happens, like a confrontation on live TV, it naturally attracts more attention because the individuals involved are already in the public eye. Their actions resonate with larger audiences who already have opinions about them, which only amplifies the situation. Public figures have an immediate influence on the media landscape. They are not just participants in a conversation, they become symbols of broader conversations about society, politics, culture, or any number of topics. This is particularly true in a moment like this one, where a live TV exchange turns into a public spectacle. The audience isn't just focused on the exchange itself, they are also watching the personalities involved, looking for patterns in their behavior or clues about their views. When two well-known figures clash, it doesn't just stay between them, it becomes a conversation for everyone. The people watching want to know more than just what was said. They want to understand the personalities behind the words and see how these figures react under pressure. Their responses, gestures, and even the way they speak become part of the story. This added layer of attention can turn a seemingly simple disagreement into a major news event. When well-known personalities become involved in a public dispute, it often sparks debates, discussions, and sometimes divisions among viewers. Audiences are eager to pick sides or form opinions based on what they've seen. Social media, in particular, plays a huge role in spreading these moments across the internet, turning them into viral topics that are discussed by people from all walks of life. What happens in live television is no longer just for those watching at home. It spreads quickly through various online platforms where it is shared, commented on, and debated endlessly. Every tweet, post, or meme can spread the moment to a wider audience, turning it into an even bigger event. The presence of well-known individuals makes the moment more relatable to viewers. They may already know these figures from previous appearances or their work, and that background adds depth to the situation. For example, people may have certain expectations of how these individuals should behave or react based on their past behavior, creating a context for the current situation. This familiarity can influence how the viewers interpret what happens. A person may respond to a comment more strongly because they have a history with the individual involved, or they may approach the situation with a sense of fairness based on what they know about the person's past actions or opinions. This is why live television with well-known personalities is so much more than just a straightforward conversation. It is full of layers of meaning, history, and perception that play out in real time. In addition to social media and public discussion, the role of the press in amplifying such moments cannot be overlooked. News outlets quickly pick up on high-profile events and spread them to even wider audiences. When the personalities involved are famous, the news coverage intensifies. These outlets dissect the exchange, offer analysis, and frame the situation in ways that influence how people perceive it. They might focus on the arguments being made, the personal dynamics at play, or the cultural implications of what was said.